MMA Now, powered by Show On TV Network.
Start. Great. I'd like to thank everybody for attending our post-fight press conference tonight. We had some great action. I mean, the fight that was the main event. It was an unfortunate situation that he got hurt. Pitbull got hurt, but out of it, we're going to get a great fight between Chandler and Benson. And we had another great announcement, which was a signing of Rory McDonald, which we actually did not ink until this evening. And so I'd like to just introduce Rory McDonald and say a few words for his welcome to Bellator.
It's an honor. It's been a long time in the making. I've had a lot to consider in probably over a year. And, we've been in talks with Bellator for a long time now, and, it's gone back and forth with the UFC, and, we put a great deal together. We're going to build a great business together. Bellator believes in me. I believe in the company, and we're going to take it to the next level. We're going to take over.
So if you guys could raise your hands and wait for the microphone, ask some questions.
Rory, can you talk about the free agent process and maybe name some of the factors that led you to eventually sign with Bellator?
For contract negotiations, it went pretty well. It went pretty smooth. Scott and the guys here at Bellator, they're very professional and easy to talk to, and very approachable. So, right away I knew there was a good vibe between us. So I had it in my mind that I was going to end up here. It was just a feeling, an intuition. So, I'm really happy with the way it worked out. And the deal, I couldn't ask for better. They're treating me excellent already.
Would you say it was closer to being a fun process for a professional athlete, or was it closer to stressful? Like, can you talk about, going back and forth, restless nights, maybe no sleep, and ultimately coming to a decision?
No restless nights, maybe for my manager. But I felt confident going into this negotiation. I wasn't too stressed. I know my worth, and I was sticking to it. And now it's just about putting on a show, getting out there, and taking that belt.
I heard 2 weight classes. You are interested in 2 weight classes. Where do you want to start off?
170 for sure. I wanna challenge the champion there, and I want to go at 185 and take that one too.
Other questions? Front row?
James from the MMA Complex. Rory, do you have an idea of when you want to have your first fight in Bellator?
It's gonna be in 2017. I'm gonna say summer, but we'll see what happens. It could be before that, but definitely 2017.
And for Scott, obviously, Rory's a big superstar in Canada. Is Bellator going to focus on the Canadian market for this year and on?
I mean, I think that we definitely will go to Canada with Rory. We think that it's a great opportunity. He's a big star in Canada, so one of the major markets will definitely go in 2017 when Rory's ready.
Spike is in Canada, too.
Question for Rory over here on your left. When Benson Henderson came over, he got an immediate title shot. Is that something that you're looking for as well?
Yep, 100%.
At 170?
Yep.
Nice.
Scott, are you going to give that to him? Is he going to get an
I mean, that's a long time from now. I mean, that could happen in our division. I mean, listen, I think we have the best 170-pound division in the planet right now. If you think of Koreshkov, Paul Daly, Roy McDonald, Lima, MVP, Fernando Gonzalez. I mean, it's a stacked division. So a lot's going to happen between the time now and the time that he's ready to fight. So let's see how those other cards play out, which we'll have announcements probably in the next month as to what we're going to do with that division. But we have some exciting things happening. And you know me, we like to mix it up a little bit. So we'll see.
Rory, is there a reason you want to wait basically a year to fight again? Is there?
You know, I want to give my nose 100% time to heal. Last time I didn't treat it the way I was supposed to. You know, I was too hungry to get back in the gym to get in there and spar with guys to fight, and that's just in me to just go all the time. But I really have to pump the brakes on this one because I can't be taking a year off between every fight. That's just not what I'm about. So once this I'm going to give it the time it needs to heal, you know, back to 100%. Then hopefully I could fight once a quarter, you know, a yearly quarter. So that's the plan.
Had you attended a Bellator before, or was this your first?
This is my first.
What were your thoughts on the night, and can you compare it to what you've been used to from the UFC promotion? How you differences, things you stood out to you?
Big difference. The production of the show is just stands out right away. You know, that the big the screens, the entrances, you know, it's just they do it bigger. They do it right here. It's a fight show here. You know, they want to promote a fighter. They want to build it. It's just it's not generic where everyone's wearing the same thing. You know, we get to be our own individual self and promote ourselves. You know, whereas you know where I was before, everyone's wearing the same uniforms now. We're all walking out of the same boring, you know, dressing room out of the gate. You know, it's boring. People are tired of that.
Question back.
Here, Rody, when you say right here, when you say that UFC didn't match the offer, that means they didn't offer you anything, or they get close to it.
They offered, and they gave a decent offer, but you know, I just don't feel it was anywhere near, you know, what Bellator was giving me, and you know, there's also other factors that aren't monetary. You know, there's a lot of opportunity that Bellator is giving me. The belief that they have in me, the weight that they're putting on me to promote me to go into Canada. You know, we're gonna take Bellator into Canada and we're gonna do it big. You know, we're gonna reinvigorate that market, and those fans are gonna get a proper fight show again.
Have you think in your adaptation process, you think it's going to take you a while?
Sorry?
Your adaptation process here in Bellator?
Yeah, it's a fight, man. I'm gonna walk down that cage. I'm gonna get into a scrap. I'm gonna knock people out.
Scott, any other targets? You're bringing talent, a lot of talent right here to the company. Any other targets?
You know, there's the free agent market, you know, is something that comes up from time to time. And not every free agent that has approached us or come to us and said, hey, you know, we're a free agent now. We'd like to have you guys engage with our fighters. But not every free agent did we want to pursue. So there's certain people, you know, like Matt, like Benson, like Rory, we felt that could move the needle for us and really help this company along. So we're going to go after every free agent that's out there. And if you're a fighter fighting in a different league and you want to exercise the option of free agency, that's how you'll know your value. And to me, I think Rory did the right thing, and why wouldn't you? Because if you don't, you're going to only know what one company is offering, you know. And this is good for the MMA industry, not just for Bellator or whoever. I mean, you need to have two buyers. When there's only one buyer, then the price will ultimately go down at the end of the day.
Last question up here.
Right. All right. Couple questions for Rory. I'll start first with Twitter. I mean, you coming over, we've done, I think, over 100,000 social media impressions alone. And some of the questions that come up are, how much did the Reebok deal and the UFC sale factor into your decision?
You know, it wasn't a major thing for me, but, you know, it's a part of it. You know, like I was saying before, we walk into that cage like every single other person out there on the roster. We're basically like a robot walking in the cage with the same jersey on. There's no difference between this guy and this guy. It's boring, I find. It's very plain, you know. I understand where they were trying to go with it, but that's just not fight sport, you know. There's no personality there.
Is it more of you feeling not appreciated? You made 59,000 in your last 2 fights when you've had multiple fights underneath your belt, and you got guys making a lot more. Did that have to do with your tenure with the UFC and what you did for them?
Before that, my title fight in the UFC, I was all about just the fighting. You know, I always was like, the money will come, the money will come. I'll deal with it when the time is right. I just wanted to get in there and fight as much as possible, fight the best guys, and I think that's the spirit a lot of the fighters are carrying now. They don't want to worry about the business end of it, but you know, times are changing. People are starting to be more aware, you know, that we got to start making some profit out of this, not just the promoters. And the tide is turning. And for me, that title fight against Robbie was an eye opener. It was like, okay, we got to the show where you know you wanted to go, didn't work out, but now it's the time to start, you know, making some money.
And last part of the question is, were you slightly hurt in your last fight? And then the last question is for Coker and you. Does it hurt when like someone like Cowboy Cerrone doesn't even listen to an offer that you may have on the table? Does that hurt fighters and what you guys are trying to do moving forward in the future?
I think that just hurt himself, really. That's a personal decision on his behalf. I don't know his deal. I don't know too much about that. But what was the first question? You mean?
Were you slightly hurt in your last fight?
My slightly hurt.
Were you hurt winning your last fight?
Oh, going in? My nose was broken. That was it. I knew it was busted before, so I mean that's it.
We're gonna have a photo op right here, and then we'll get the main event fighters from this card.
Let's stand up.
Yeah.
You do it, John. Come over. No, you do it, Mr.
All right, thank you guys.
Hey, John, come on. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay. I'd like to introduce John Slusser, president of Spike Sports.
I just want to say thanks for everyone too for coming out. We had a fantastic start to this weekend. You know, there was a lot of planning, doing 2 shows in one weekend, and obviously it was a great start. The fans were fantastic. They were loud. Anaheim and the Orange County's got some amazing fight fans, and they came out in force tonight. So that was a lot of fun. I have to say we were off for a few weeks, and to come back in this fashion was good. It was good to be back, good to be fighting again. You know, we took a few weeks off over the beginning of August here, and we've got a big rest of the year. We got a lot of fights coming. I feel like November obviously is shaping up to be an absolutely huge fight. So it's going to be a great end to this year, and I'm looking forward to it. We've had great fights tonight. We got great fights coming up again. But I just want to say thanks to all the fighters. Amazing fights, some new talent really showing off their skills tonight, and to our production teams who are going to be spending the night. We're going to do it again tomorrow with PBC. Of course, you're all welcome to come back. We have a great fight tomorrow, and hopefully we'll see you guys tomorrow. So thank you, Mr. Coker, for a great night.
Thanks, John. You know, at this point, why don't we just open it up to the fighters for any questions from the media?
First question for Benson. You were visibly upset, and I actually heard you yell out, "Who played that song? Who played that song?" What can you talk about that a little bit?
You know, as fighters, we're pretty emotional individuals, and especially right at that time, right at that moment, we're pretty emotional, we're pretty worked up. So I think I might have had a slight little bit of an overreaction. I apologize for acting like a child in there. But yeah, I was upset that they kind of misplayed my walkout song. I think my walkout song is a pretty decent staple. People know what my walkout song is, and they got it wrong. So I was upset a little bit more than I probably should have been.
But did that play into your psyche as you started the fight? Because I know there were some boo birds.
Once the fight starts, the fight starts. You can't make any excuse. Oh, well, he dyed his hair yellow and I wasn't expecting it. Oh, he did this or the wrong walkout song or this or that. Yada yada yada. No excuses. Once the fight starts, and my performance was what it was.
Now, in the freak injury that happened, you said in your post-fight interview that it was due to you checking the kicks.
Yep.
Do we know, is that what it was from, or was it how he stepped?
No, it was pretty confirmed. It's from the check kicks. After the whole Anderson Silva thing, people started working on the whole check and kicks things. Our gym copied like everybody else does, and we started practicing checking kicks, and not just like checking, but doing a knee check, leaning into it a little bit. And I would have never guessed. I would have never put any money on me winning the fight from checking a kick. But, if Chris Weidman takes a W that way, I'll take a W that way too.
And lastly, were you a little bit drawn out from the weight cut down to 55? And what was your game plan going into the fight?
I don't think the weight cut had too much of a negative effect. Obviously, the weight cut has an effect on your performance, period. But I wouldn't say it was too much of a negative effect. And going into the fight, the game plan was to go beat him up, and I got my hand raised.
Question for AJ. You look pretty impressive out there, explosive. You're under the spotlight a little because of your dad. Is that added pressure because of that, and you're kind of fighting close by?
For me, no, man. When I'm in there, there's no pressure. I'm in there having fun, doing what I'm supposed to do, and that's put on a show for the people. So, as far as my dad, it just pushes me to train harder. Just having that last name McKee, everyone definitely thinks I'm gonna go out there and wrestle, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna be in there letting my hands do the talking for me. So, I just love to put on a great show for the people.
AJ, Derek Buff from MMA Latest here. When you had the arm triangle on the ground, how close was it to being stopped, do you think?
Honestly, I was sitting there with it, and I was like, my arms are burning a little bit. I don't know if I want to put too much energy into it. So I didn't feel it quite under the neck. That's kind of a hard choke to finish. So I just kind of passed it by and started looking for other options, Just didn't want to spend too much time, too much energy on it.
Right. How close do you think you are to that title shot?
Whoever, whenever, man, sign that dotted line. Hopefully, I want it in 2 fights. I want to be the youngest champ ever. 21, John Jones has got it at 23. So ASAP, I'd say ASAP. I'm putting in the work, and I'm not going to stop grinding. I'll be in the gym Monday, so the grind's still going.
And now you're young. You're 21 years old. Now, when fighters get older, they tend to put on more mass. How long do you see yourself at 145? Do you think you can stay there at 5'10"? That frame?
Right now, yes. So that's why I'm trying to get that belt as soon as possible. I feel at 55s I will be a lot bigger and a lot stronger and a lot more explosive. So only time can tell, man. I got to just keep taking it one fight at a time and keep making a name for myself. So I'm going to keep doing what I have to do.
Great. Shinzo, next question. That uppercut that you landed, when you had him on the ground before and you were throwing the strikes on the first shot that you hit with that overhand, did you think it was going to be finished after that?
After the first knockdown? Yes. Well, yes, I realized that I can finish the fight, but I realized he was blocking my punching and my technique. So I didn't want to go to the ground with him because I watched a couple of videos from him and he has a good jiu-jitsu, and I prefer stand up and do my technique because I was confident more in stand-up technique.
Georgie, question for you. Your first fight with Bubba Jenkins ended via choke. Second fight via knockout. I know now it's like you're a free agent now. Are you gonna wait a while before you get in the cage, or are you gonna start testing that free agent market?
Yeah, we're gonna see, but I have some unfinished business here. Hopefully, we could come to a good agreement. But yeah, I wanna kind of stay here. We'll see.
And Scott, are you gonna re-sign him, or are you gonna put him in the spot?
I think we're already talking to him actually. So I mean, listen, he's since I've been here, Georgie's put on some great performances, and win, lose, draw, whatever, he always brought it, and that's what I appreciate is that we know that when we put him in a bout, it's going to be on, and those are the types of fighters that we like to keep. So there you go.
And another question for Chinzo. How'd you feel after your Bellator debut? I mean, and are you looking to get in the cage sooner rather than later?
I'm sorry, the second part.
Oh, are you looking to get back in the cage this year or maybe next year?
Yeah, first of all, I feel very happy for sure because it's my first fight here in Bellator. So I'm so happy, and especially because I had a good winning and a good victory. And what's the second question?
That was it.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Georgie, can you talk about when you caught his kick? You know, you had his foot, and there's options like a trip, or maybe trying to grab a single, and then of course you went with the heavy hands and got the takedown. Like, how fast is your mind moving, and do you train those situations and all the different options you have with that?
You just gotta let it happen, you know. I wasn't there to kill him, so he gave me the opportunity, and I landed that hand. So, you know, I'm in there to kill him or get killed, so it doesn't matter to me.
You had a large contingent from the IE, I imagine. Could you hear that? Could you feel that? I mean, they were probably some of the more vocal crowds tonight.
When I was fighting, no, because I was in the zone. But after, yeah, after I could see all the crowd.
Question for Benson. What did you and Chandler say to each other afterwards when you guys were posing?
I didn't really hear what he said. To be honest, he mumbled something, and I was like, yeah, or like, I'm not sure what he said, but I'm sure it wasn't anything like, too positive towards me, so I was like, yeah, okay.
And can you talk, well, what did you say to him? That was it? It looked like you uttered more than that.
Nah, that was pretty much the gist of what I said. Yeah, okay.
Overall, there's respect there, or like are you two athletes that get along, or have you guys ever had any friction?
I haven't had a problem with any of the guys I'm going to face off against or about to face off against or guys I fought in the past. I'm a pretty laid-back individual, so I haven't had a problem with anybody. I don't think I have a problem with Chandler at all.
Benson, first off, this club that you're in, this UFC club that's coming over to Bellator, is growing now. Rory's another one. What are your thoughts on the expansion? Sort of you guys coming over, the guys that are choosing to do that, and do you talk? I mean, the UFC fraternity. Do you guys talk amongst yourselves about the experience here and what's it like?
Yeah, I think for the most part, when it comes to talk about that, I've had quite a few guys hit me up and ask me about the Bellator and the signing and the workings of the deal. And I just give them my honest opinion. I don't try and sell anybody. I don't say, oh, hey, you should do this or you should do that. I give them, my perspective, my point of view, how these guys have treated me, the kind of deal that I have, and then I, say, hey, you gotta make your decision based on what's best for you and your family. But I give them, my perspective, my point of view, how they treated me so far, all that sort of stuff, and then, they make the decisions that they make.
Rory's still pretty young at 27. Did you know him at all? I mean, have you?
Oh, we fought in a couple of cards together. So like most all the UFC guys, like are the fighters. Like you hang out a little bit. You're on the same fight cards. So you're at the hotel for the whole week, all that sort of stuff. So we've talked before in the past. He's on a couple of my cards. Nice kid.
Are you expecting more of this? Do you think more guys will come over?
I think absolutely.
Scott, bringing over fighters like Benson and Rory and other fighters, Phil Davis, who are still top of their game in terms of their mixed martial arts, and combining it with kids like AJ and Joey Davis and these prospects that you're signing. Can you talk about your philosophy now, sort of building the roster? You've been here a couple of years. I know you always laid the groundwork, and you talked about doing things now and doing things for the future. So how is that coming together?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're really ahead of the game. And when I came to Bellator, they had a good roster. We started sprinkling guys that were entertaining, like Paul Daly, Melvin Manoff. But I knew that we had to start building our own guys because you need to build them from the ground up as well as maintain the base that you have, but also free agency. And that's how we built the last company that I had, right? Was we sprinkled in some free agency, but we built Luke Rocco, we built Daniel Cormier, we built Tyron Woodley. These are guys we found from the scratch, right? And I think we're very good star identifiers, and then we know how to build stars in this business. And that's what we're doing here. I mean, it's the same formula. We're going to build. I mean, I was telling AJ, I said, this kid's so talented, and I followed his dad's career as well because he was in MMA, and I said, I think you've thrown more kicks and punches in one fight than Dad did the whole career. Right?
On his behalf, they never paid him to fight. I still train my dad every day, so he's pay him to fight, he'll fight.
Okay,
He'll show
so-
you guys something you've never seen.
So maybe we should talk. I've never promoted him, but maybe we should talk to him. Maybe he can charge per kick per round, or punch per round. But honestly, we have some unbelievable talent. You guys know we signed some of the best wrestlers. We're going after some different group of fighters, but we're in the business of building the next stars, and I think we have such a great crop of new guys and new girls coming up. Some that you guys know, some that you don't know. Some will be announcing soon. And then, and then you sprinkle some free agency, man, and then you have a great, robust roster, and that's where we're headed.
Question in front of George.
Staying with Scott, I noticed you've been checking your phone, and did you happen to hear in the back, or maybe an update on Pitbull, what the actual injury is? Like, is there a break or
I'm
a
trying to get
sprain?
some more information, but I don't think. Do we have anything yet?
Fibula or whatever the little.
Fibula is a broken.
One of them is broken.
Yeah, it's broken. So he has a broken fibula, is what I'm told. But we'll get you guys all the details. I don't want to speculate, but he's probably on his way to the hospital right now, and as soon as we get some more information, I'll get it to you.
Okay, thank you. And for Derek, talk about that fight. I mean, the first round was very close. The second round you took. Going into the third, do you think it might be 1-1? And overall, just what do you think of that scrap? It had a lot of tension. You guys were stalking each other before the fight, and you guys got down. There was almost some finishes, so all around a great fight.
I thought I won every round, but he came to fight. He was tough as hell. I was ready for that. We were stalking each other in the beginning of the fight, but we're about to fight, so it's nothing personal or anything like that. We're professionals, I just wanted to put on a better performance. I had a couple mishaps in my camp, kind of took me back a little bit. I could have been a little bit more of a display, I think, but I still think I put on a better display than Benson, who's going to get the title shot, and I like that myself.
Question for Joey Davis, right here. Now you fought. This is a huge card you were on. One of you're a local guy as well. Did you have some jitters going into that fight?
Hell yeah. I mean, yeah. I did. I had a lot of people here, and I just wanted to show Bellator what I can do. I thought I could do a little better, but should have do more combinations. I thought I was just throwing 1-2 punches. But the guy was tough, man. He could take a beating, man. Those are the ones I hate.
And starting from where you're at right now, what do you have to do to work your way up to does that play a factor in your mind, like all these guys are ahead of me, or is it just one step at a time for you?
Yeah, one step at a time. I feel like my cousin's ahead of me, a lot of people ahead of me, but I'm a quick learner, man, and I love to win, and I don't like losing, period. You can tell by my wrestling record, but I think I'll be there pretty soon. It's just going to take a little time, and I thought I did okay today, but I could do a little better.
Question for Derek. I thought that was maybe fight of the night right there. You showed a great display of boxing. You were bobbing and weaving. Do you have a boxing background?
Yeah, my boxing coach, Brendan Navarez, Navarez Boxing in Vista, California. I don't think anybody's gonna mess with me in the hands, so I'm ready to strike with anybody.
And then when it went to the ground, I think you had like a Kimura, or that looked like it was close. What were your thoughts when you guys were tumbling around? I think it was the second round.
Yeah, I'm not really known for my ground game, but I got it, and I just like to punch people, for sure I can tap people out. Trust me. We were rolling it out, and I just felt like I had it on him. I guess I don't know. I just did my thing out there. I think you're talking about the triangle to the Mabata.
Right.
I should have went for it a little sooner. I think actually.
Did you have any hesitation of thinking that the decision might go against you? Because there's a lot of fans for him, and then the follow-up, the last question is, what will it take for you to get a title shot? I know you calling Benson out a little bit. Is that what's...
Yeah, sure, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, we can fight. You know what I'm saying? I need to fight, so let's do it. I'm ready to fight. Like I said, I didn't even have the best camp right there, so I'm ready for title shots. I'm ready for big fights. I'm ready for everything. Nobody's going to beat me, not a lightweight.
Question goes.
Questions for Joey and AJ. You guys are teammates, and oftentimes we hear that the anxiety isn't so much for when you're fighting, it's when your teammate fights. Can you talk about the process of being on the same card? Is that something you would want to do in the future, maybe in November?
For me, there's no anxiety. Just people do that, you know, nobody's done that. So, okay, I'll corner my dad will corner me. Like, let's do it, dude. When I'm in that cage, I'm having fun. I enjoy coaching, I enjoy helping, you know, this is just what I do. I have fun with it. There's no pressure at all for me, at all, anytime.
For me, it was, this was always been my dream to fight my cousin one time, you know what I mean? And the whole day has just been a blessing for me, so I'm just happy right now, man. Lost for words.
I feel like I was more nervous for his fight than mine, honestly. I was sitting on the cage like just trying to coach. It was unexplainable.
He yells at me a lot, you know. And I'm older.
I see little mistakes, but for a month and a half of training for him to come in here and do that, I'm so proud of him, man. He's gonna be right there, right behind me, you know. I feel like we're going to be the face of Bellator, you know. Anybody feels otherwise, step in that cage, sign the dotted line, and we'll prove you wrong.
Question for Ben. Ben, what'd you make of how the fight was going up until the stoppage?
I felt like I couldn't get started. I felt like he was sitting down on that, you know, fastball, waiting to let something loose. I was like, he's gonna try and hit me. He's gonna try and hit me. But you know, I felt like I just couldn't get started. Second round started going. I started getting my jab going a little bit better. Started pushing the pace. So I was trying to go forward to engage, but he kept doing a good job of being elusive and dancing around, and just couldn't quite get started the way I would like to.
Do you attribute that to anything, or can you elaborate on that? Do you feel it came in a little bit cold?
I might have to take a look back. You know, give me a couple days to look back at the film and see what's what. And as of right now, though, placing my finger on what it was that didn't allow me to get started, you gotta take off hats off to Pitbull, obviously. Like he's a great fighter, former champion. So it was nothing that exactly just me. There's another person in there too. So I'd say that he did a great job not allowing me to get started, which is what you want to do as a fighter. You don't want to let your opponent get started. So I think he did a good job. Gotta take hats off to him, and I gotta fix whatever holes that were.
Did you feel you were winning the fight up until that point?
I thought so. It was one of those toss-ups, you know, flip a coin, give it to this guy. Oh, yeah, sure. Flip a coin, give it to that guy. Oh, yeah, I guess, sure. That was definitely kind of close. And I know I need to turn it up, turn it on, going into the second and going to the third.
Question up here. Question for John. Tomorrow you have the boxing event, and I'm sure you'll know soon enough how, I guess they call them the overnight numbers, how the MMA does. But I'm just curious, what's the overlap between combat sports fans that just love both and will tune into both nights versus like some will just tune in tomorrow and some will just tune in tonight?
Well, I mean, part of doing this whole event was that we have two premier properties, and we wanted to put them together. There's a lot of, I mean, not just to create a great weekend, because there's a lot of efficiencies, but, you know, we believe that, you know, combat sports fans love a good fight, and we're hoping to introduce fans who maybe haven't come to a boxing match to come, be here tonight, hear about it, and come back tomorrow, and vice versa. We've done a bunch of pre-promotional events and got the word out that we'd like to see more crossover in those. But we will find out the numbers actually on Monday. We don't find out until Monday. But I think that we've done a really good job. We'll continue to do a good job of co-promoting. There's a lot of stories on both sides. We try to tell those stories. We have the best production team in the world. We try to tell those stories. And if you saw the show, we're talking about tomorrow night, and tomorrow night we'll be wrapping up what happened here and continuing that storyline that is unfolding before us. So bottom line is we're putting the pieces together, and it's turning out well. I mean, this weekend has been fantastic. I mean, already we're seeing so many. Everyone's getting along. I mean, we have two promotions in the same building at the same time, and it's going great. I'm really excited about what we saw tonight. The crowd was great, and tomorrow night should be great too. So I think we're going to see some crossover. I think we're going to see some new fans from both sides, and I think we'll hopefully continue this great weekend.
Just a couple more, yes.
And AJ, you told us this week on MMA Junkie Radio that you're interested in maybe boxing. So will you be here tomorrow? And have you told your bosses, that you're interested in maybe getting in the squared circle?
I'm interested in fighting anywhere, anytime, any place. Fighting is just what I love to do. Paycheck's a bonus. But at the end of the day, since I was a little kid, I always wanted a state championship ring and a belt. So that belt's what I want, hey, you got a boxing contract for me tomorrow? I'll go fight. You want me to fight? I'll fight. You know, it's all entertainment. You know, so you build a name and people. It's a supply demand thing. You know, you build a name and you can do whatever you want. So, what else?
Question for Ben. Since Rory McDonald's now in Bellator, do you have any interest in moving back up to potentially fight with him, maybe in Canada or in the Dynamite event?
I'm pretty much open to everything. You know, Scott signed me, Bellator signed me, they brought me over here for big fights. That's the reason why I always signed. Big fights at 155, big fights at 170. I'm game. You need to fight on 2 weeks notice, 1 week notice? Sure, no problem. You need a 5-rounder on 1 week notice? Sure, no problem. I'm your guy. I can give it to you. So facing off against Rory or whoever at 170, yeah, no worries.
And then question for John and Scott. Do you guys feel like mixing both boxing, kickboxing, and MMA really harms your brand because people don't really know what to focus on? It's just Spike TV Sports and MMA and then kickboxing and then boxing. Do you feel like it's content overload, especially all in one weekend?
I'd like to just start. I mean, I grew up a boxing fan. I love boxing, and I'll be here tomorrow to watch the boxing fights. And if you look at all these guys up here, there's not one guy up here that doesn't have a boxing coach and working his boxing skills. MMA is boxing, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, all combined. That's mixed martial arts. So everybody up here, I'm sure they're all boxing fans too, and they love to watch a boxing fight. So it's part of modern day martial arts. You can't separate it and say, well, are you a fan of this or fan of that? You have to be a fan. If you're a martial artist, a mixed martial artist, you're a fan of everything, and you're using everything together as a fighter, an eclectic style. But boxing is a big part of that, and I think you saw some of that tonight. And all these guys are talented. These guys. I think that, listen, if their focus was to go be a boxer, I think they could do it. The same thing with the boxers. If their focus is to be an MMA fighter, they could probably do it. And so I don't think that's, the way I look at it is part of martial arts. It's not separate. And then when you say the brand, I mean, like Spike is a home of, combat sports. You can watch kickboxing on Bellator, you can watch Bellator MMA, and you can watch boxing. I mean, tell you what a better way to spend the weekend. That's how I feel. John?
Yeah, I totally agree, and I feel like it's not overload. I think it's not enough. I'd love to do this. I'd like to do this more often. It's been great.
One or two more guys over here.
Scott, since you guys are going to San Jose, I'm curious, will you, I'm thinking of Josh Thompson, is he ready to go again? May he be featured on the card, and are there any other names that you can already share with us?
We announced the fight earlier today with MVP and Fernando Gonzalez, and then the main event will be Chandler versus Henderson. That's going to be the main event. But we also have 2 other fights that we're going to announce, or 3 other fights actually we'll be announcing probably next week. But that's going to be the big fight, is the main event between Benson and Chandler.
Can I fight?
You can fight anytime you want.
Let's do it.
Last question from David.
Question for Scott. We've seen, it's cliche, MMA is the fastest growing sport in the world right now. But what's really growing it as well, our personalities, the talk. And is that something that you're looking to promote? We talked yesterday about you doing fun fights for the fans, fights for the hardcore fans. But like someone like an MVP, if you put him against someone with an identical personality, there might be some water bottles being thrown around in the press conference room. Do you want something like that to happen? Is that because it draws more attention to the sport and personality? I know Benson's shaking his head no, but in the end, the numbers don't lie. What's your take on all that?
I mean, we've done, like I was telling some people yesterday, the fun fights, the very first fun fight that I watched, and I think I told you this story, was Bob Sapp fighting Nogueira in Pride. And Josh probably knows which Pride it was. It was Dynamite. It was a Dynamite show, right? And it was the very first Dynamite show, right?
That big stadium show.
Yeah, so stadium had 80,000 people there. It was an amazing show. But Bob Sapp, who was a pro wrestler, football player, comes and fights Nogueira, who's a skilled jiu-jitsu fighter, and it was one of the funnest fights I've ever seen. And then I would ask, Mr. Ishii years later, why would you do that fight? Or why would you have Aki Bona fight, who's at, 500 pounds, fighting Royce Gracie at 175 pounds? And he said to me, something that really stuck with me all the years later, and he said, when Ernesto Hoost, who was a champion at the time, fights Peter Arts, the hardcore fight fans watch. But when Akibono fights Royce Gracie, the whole country watches, right? And we've experienced the same thing. There's some athletes that cross over to, just the general public audience, right? And that casts a little bit bigger net than maybe just a hardcore fight fans fight that they want to see. So we've done both, and we're going to continue to do both. But I will say this: 90% of the fights that we've done have been for the hardcore fight fans, and we're going to continue to do that. But once in a while, if you see something that's going to be fun to watch, we're not going to be afraid to do it.
Can you just, address the personalities? Would you be, if you saw bottles throwing around, is that something you'd be okay with and know that, okay, it's going to draw tickets, or is that something you never want to see in your promotion?
But here's the thing: at the end of the day, you know what? That's I know what you're talking about, and I don't want to even address that because, part of that is show for the fight and build up of the fight, and so I think that's what you're seeing. Is it something that's part of the fight game? I think it is part of the fight game, but for me, is it my style? Really, it's not. It hasn't been my style, But to have a matchup that is intriguing, like to me, Royce fought Ken Shamrock, right? People are like, oh, some people didn't like, but you know what? We had 3.2 million people watching that fight. Those numbers are undeniable, right? Because it casts a little bit bigger net than what the hardcore fight fans want to see. So, Spike TV is an entertainment property. We're going to continue to entertain.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We're going to have a group photo.
Okay.
And thanks for coming. If I can get everybody to look at the guy in the vest in the back.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody.